Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build IKEA.
Round 1.
I am making a huge IKEA store with blue concrete because this block has a clean, solid color and it looks very close to the real building. Blue is also easy to see from far away, so the store feels like a landmark. On the front wall, I add a big yellow shape for the IKEA logo. Yellow works well on blue because the contrast is strong, and that helps people read the sign faster. After that, I keep building the main body of the store in blue concrete. I split the whole structure into 2 sections so the outside does not look like one boring box. The left section is a full cube with almost no cuts in the wall, and that makes it feel heavy and simple like a giant warehouse. I leave a passage on the front so people can enter. The right section is lower, and that change of height makes the building look more interesting. I also leave room on the front and right side for windows, because a furniture shop needs light and visibility. Now I go inside because the floor cannot stay as dirt. Dirt is bad for a store because it looks messy, it feels rough, and it does not match the clean style of furniture displays. I replace the ground blocks with stone slabs. Stone slabs make the surface look flatter than full blocks, and they are a nice choice for places where many people walk. In a real building, a hard floor is important because it supports heavy items like beds, tables, and shelves. After finishing the floor, I move to the window openings on the lower right section. I place light blue glass panes in them. I pick panes instead of full glass blocks because panes are thinner and look more like real store windows. I use light blue because the color fits the blue concrete and keeps the design calm. The space in front of the building also needs work, so I remove the dirt there and place stone slabs. A store entrance should have a hard path because people need a safe, clean area to walk on. After that, I go above the entrance and build the word IKEA using special letter blocks. Those blocks are useful because the letters look neat and easy to read without making giant chunky shapes by hand. Phew, it took so much effort. Great, my IKEA is ready.
What? Hello?
Hey, Banana Kid, look, I built it. Do you like?
No.
What? Is there only a name from IKEA? Why is my store empty?
Oh.
I just thought I didn't need anything else. Maybe then you'll try to build the best IKEA yourself.
Yay!
They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready?
Yahoo!
Then go ahead.
Round 2.
I can see Banana Kid starting from the front wall, and he goes straight for blue concrete too. That makes sense because IKEA is famous for that strong blue shell. He builds a wide wall first, and then he adds one tall yellow arch on it. After that, he makes a second and a third arch, so the front starts looking like a repeated pattern instead of one flat rectangle. Repetition is actually useful in design because it gives rhythm to the building, kind of like beats in music. The eye jumps from one arch to the next, and that makes the facade easier to remember. Inside each yellow arch, he fills the middle area with iron blocks. Iron has a bright, smooth look, so it stands out from the softer colors around it. Then, he puts buttons on the iron. I think he is using them as tiny details because big walls need small things on them, or they look empty. It is a weird choice, but it does make the surface feel more alive. Banana Kid keeps working on those front details, and I can tell he wants the wall to look modern. The blue concrete acts like the main skin of the building, while the yellow arches work like giant decorative frames. Arches are interesting because in real construction, they can help move weight toward the sides, even though in Minecraft, they are more about shape than real pressure. Still, using an arch shape makes a facade feel less stiff. The iron blocks in the center of each arch give the front a cold industrial style, and that fits a huge furniture warehouse pretty well. The little buttons are funny to me because they look like tiny bolts or control switches. That means a very simple trick is doing 2 jobs at once. It adds texture, and it makes the wall feel mechanical. Banana Kid is not talking, so I have to guess what the plan is. But I think he wants this store to look more futuristic than mine. He is going for bold shapes instead of a plain box. Now Banana Kid flies behind the front and starts building a rear wall out of blue concrete. Back walls are easy to ignore, but they matter a lot because a real store needs a full shell around the inside space. He places doors in this area and adds a button next to them. That feels like a service entrance to me, maybe for workers or for bringing furniture in from delivery trucks. A building works better when the public entrance and the service entrance are not the same, because customers and storage traffic should not block each other. He also adds some yellow concrete near this back section, which keeps the color theme connected to the front. If the back had only blue, it might feel forgotten. After that, He moves to the front and swaps the dirt for stone slabs. That is a good move. A hard path outside a store is practical because it stays neat, and visually it prepares people for the polished floor inside. The build is starting to feel like a real commercial place. Banana Kid goes back to the rear side and keeps stretching the building wider with a huge blue wall. Big stores often use long, simple walls because they need giant interior rooms without too many interruptions. But long, flat walls can get boring very fast, so he starts adding several horizontal stripes on the left side. The stripes have different lengths, and that is smart because equal stripes would feel too stiff. When the lengths change, the wall gets movement. Horizontal lines also make a structure look wider, and that helps a furniture store feel large and open before anyone even goes inside. I think he is using yellow for those stripes because the color catches attention and ties back to the arches on the front. This is one of those moments where decoration also helps with scale. Without the stripes, the wall would just be a big blue chunk. With the stripes, the viewer can read the size better, and the whole thing feels more designed. Even if Banana Kid is probably just vibing and placing blocks, he keeps going with the same wall and completes the large rectangular shape of that rear section. Finishing the outline first is a good habit because the outline tells you if the proportions feel right before you waste time filling everything in. After the rectangle is clear, he moves to the right side and adds more horizontal bands there. I like that he does not copy the left side perfectly. If both sides were identical, the build might look too rigid. Small differences can make a big building feel more natural because real commercial buildings often grow in stages and end up slightly uneven. The stripes on the right help balance the visual weight of the left side, so the rear facade does not feel empty on one edge. Banana Kid is still staying in the same blue and yellow palette, and that consistency is important. A limited color palette makes a giant build easier to understand. Even if the shapes are unusual, the matching colors keep everything together and stop the design from becoming a messy block salad. Right in the center of the rear wall, Banana Kid starts building a giant IKEA sign with yellow concrete. This is actually a smart place for branding, because large stores are visible from many directions. If somebody drives behind the building or approaches from another road, the back sign still tells them what the place is. He builds the letters big enough to read from far away, and that matters because signs need strong proportions. Thin letters can disappear on a huge wall, but chunky letters stay clear. The bright yellow stands out well on the blue background, and that is basic visual contrast doing its job. I think he places the word in the middle because centered text makes the wall feel more organized. If the sign sat too low or too high, the whole back could look lopsided. It is funny that Banana Kid never says anything, but this sign says enough for him. Nobody is going to look at that giant yellow word and wonder what shop this is supposed to be. After the rear sign is done, Banana Kid moves to the back right side and starts another wall from blue concrete. This new section is shorter than the main rear wall, and that change is helpful because stores often have side wings or loading areas that do not match the full length of the main hall. Different lengths make the whole complex feel more believable. Near the bottom of that wall, he builds a square frame with yellow concrete, and inside the frame, he fills the space with yellow glass. I kind of like this part. A colored glass area can work like a decorative window, and in real design, warm tinted glass changes the mood of the light inside. Yellow light feels cozy and energetic, which is nice in a place full of home furniture. The yellow frame around the glass also makes the opening easy to notice. Without a frame, the glass could disappear into the wall. This little section gives the back corner a special feature, so it does not feel like plain storage space. Now, Banana Kid focuses on connecting all these pieces. He extends the lines of the rear structure and finishes the outline of the back part of the building. That sounds simple, but the outline is what turns random walls into one readable form. Once the edges connect, the eye can understand where the roof will be, where the corners are, and how the whole building sits in space. He links the shorter right section with the larger rear mass, so the store starts reading as one complete complex instead of separate boxes floating near each other. Banana Kid starts filling the right side and then the upper side of the IKEA shell with more blue concrete. This is the part where the building stops feeling like a frame and starts feeling protected. Closing the top edge is important because a roof and upper wall line define the volume of the inside space. In real life, the envelope of a building keeps out rain, wind, and heat loss. In Minecraft, there is no real weather damage indoors, but the logic still helps the build look believable. He keeps the roof line fairly flat, which is common for large stores because flat or almost flat roofs are efficient on wide structures. They are easier to support across a huge area than very steep roofs. The blue concrete keeps everything uniform, and that uniform surface makes the bright yellow details pop more. This stage can look repetitive, but it gives the building the heavy warehouse feeling that an IKEA really needs. A furniture store should look big enough to hide 1,000 shelves inside. A softer surface would wear out or feel unstable. Another nice thing about slabs is that they keep the room from looking too tall, because they are visually flatter than bulky full blocks. The inside immediately feels cleaner and more public, less like a field trapped in a box. I think Banana Kid waited a long time to do the floor, but at least he did it before the place was filled with furniture. Doing the floor early is usually smarter, because then you do not have to build around a bunch of stuff later. He keeps working inside and around the shell, adding more blue concrete to the backside and then to the left side. Any open holes get closed up. This is one of those finalizing steps that can seem boring, but it is actually what makes a build feel complete. Empty gaps break the illusion of a real building because light leaks through places where walls should be. By filling all the missing spots, Banana Kid gives the store solid boundaries and makes the interior feel enclosed. Enclosure matters in design because a room only feels safe and useful when the edges are clear. It also helps the outside silhouette look cleaner from every angle. The left side now matches the rest of the structure better, and the rear wall looks finished instead of half-planned. I think Banana Kid went for a more abstract IKEA than mine, with those arches and stripes, but the color logic and massing still make sense. It is big, bold, and kind of strange, which is honestly a pretty fun combo.
Ta-da! Yay!
Where did everyone run off to? Hey guys, what's all that noise?
Banana Kid and I are building IKEA, JJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Maybe then you have comments on the construction of Banana Kid?
Yes, there are a couple of comments. You made a very simple decor for your IKEA. The shape of the building turned out to be very flat.
I totally agree with you, JJ. Maybe you will build IKEA?
Okay, then let's run to the place as soon as possible.
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
But
Thanks, guys. Then I'm starting. Round 3. I begin my IKEA project by laying out the first major section with blue and yellow concrete. I do not place colors randomly. Blue concrete becomes the main body because IKEA stores are known for large blue surfaces that communicate the brand from a long distance. Yellow concrete is reserved for accents because accent colors are strongest when they frame or highlight important areas instead of covering everything. My first goal is to define the proportions of the front mass. Large retail buildings need a broad footprint and a clear rectangular form because they are designed around open interior circulation and product displays. I keep the lines straight and the corners clean, so the building immediately reads as commercial architecture rather than a house or warehouse with no identity. Even at this early stage, I am thinking about how customers will perceive scale. A store like this should feel large, but not chaotic. Controlled geometry helps create that effect, and concrete is a good block choice because its texture is smooth and modern. On the front of the building, I construct a large IKEA sign from yellow concrete. Letter design matters more than it may seem. A sign on a giant facade has to be oversized enough to remain readable at a distance, and the thickness of each letter must be consistent so the word does not look fragile. I keep the letters broad and simple because simple shapes are easier for young viewers and distant players to recognize. Yellow is the ideal choice here because it contrasts strongly with blue, which improves readability. In visual communication, contrast is one of the fastest ways to deliver information. The sign is not only decoration, it is a wayfinding tool. A clear name above or on the front mass tells customers where they are and builds trust, because commercial spaces with obvious branding feel more intentional. I place the sign carefully on the facade so it becomes the visual anchor of the front elevation. Everything else can support that centerpiece. After shaping the letters, I fill the spaces around and between them with blue concrete. This is an important finishing step because exposed gaps around signs can make a facade look unfinished. By embedding the yellow letters inside a continuous blue field, I create a cleaner and more professional surface. In real building design, a sign often sits on a dedicated panel or cladding zone. This Minecraft version follows the same logic. The blue backdrop acts like a signboard wall, while the yellow letters remain crisp and dominant. Another advantage of filling these areas is structural clarity. The front face becomes one solid plane rather than a collection of floating pieces. When surfaces are continuous, they read as stronger and more intentional. This also improves visual rhythm because the letters become part of the architecture instead of looking pasted on after the fact. A professional build often depends on these small choices. Neat transitions between elements are what separate polished structures from rough block outlines. I move to the back and continue the shell of the store with blue concrete, extending the outline so the rear mass matches the scale established in front. The back of a retail structure is usually less decorative, but it still needs clear form and complete enclosure. If the rear is ignored, the build feels like a movie set rather than a real building. I make sure the corners align with the front geometry, because consistent alignment helps the whole structure feel engineered. Large commercial buildings depend on strong perimeter walls to define the interior volume. In Minecraft, that same principle helps the inside feel spacious and believable. I keep the rear broad and simple, which reflects the practical nature of a warehouse-style furniture store. Decorative excess is less important here than legibility and mass. Blue concrete remains the main material because continuity matters. When exterior walls share the same surface language, the building reads as one identity rather than several unrelated additions attached together. Returning to the front, I refine the main entrance and install doors. The entrance is one of the most important parts of any public building because it controls first impressions and customer flow. I place the doors in a central and accessible position so players can understand immediately where to go. In architecture, entrances should be visible, convenient, and connected to major circulation paths. If a door is hidden or too small, the facade may look decorative, but the building will not function well. I shape the entry area so it feels intentional rather than cut randomly into the wall. A clear entrance also helps with visual balance, because on a large symmetrical or near symmetrical facade, the door often acts as the grounding point. I use sturdy doors because a retail store should feel secure while still welcoming. The front opening now gives the whole structure a human scale reference. Large walls feel even larger when a properly sized entrance is placed against them. I also build several front support elements using stone walls and end rods. These pieces act like modern canopy supports or light columns. Stone walls provide a narrow but sturdy-looking base, while end rods add a sleek, bright vertical line that resembles contemporary lighting. Combining them creates a structure that looks both supportive and elegant. This is a useful lesson in visual engineering. Even when Minecraft blocks do not follow real structural loads, players still read certain forms as support because of proportion and placement. thin verticals under a projecting area suggest weight transfer, and that makes the entrance feel more believable. The end rods additionally brighten the front and improve visibility, which is important in any public retail space. People should be able to identify where to enter, even from a distance or at night. By giving the entrance support columns that also function as lights, I make one small feature perform two design jobs at the same time. After the floor conversion, I use commands again to extend and complete wall sections in blue and yellow concrete. This allows me to preserve the same color logic across a large volume without introducing accidental inconsistencies. Consistency is especially important in branded spaces. When a store uses signature colors, those colors should appear deliberate and balanced, not randomly interrupted. Blue remains the dominant wall material because it carries the identity of the brand and the scale of the building. Yellow is used where I want the eye to pause, such as edges, transitions, or emphasis zones. Completing these walls rapidly also helps me evaluate the interior proportions sooner. In large architecture, enclosed vertical surfaces define where departments, pathways, and sightlines can exist. Until the walls are complete, the inside is only potential space. Once they are built, the building begins to function like a real showroom. Fast execution through commands lets me spend more creative time on layout, circulation, and the educational details of design. Beside the building, I create the flag of Sweden, the country most closely associated with IKEA. I use wooden fences for the flagpole because fences are narrow, vertical, and stable looking, which makes them ideal for poles and masts. For the flag itself, I use blue and yellow wool to match the national colors. Wool has a slightly softer texture than concrete, and that difference helps the flag feel distinct from the building. Adding a national flag is a small detail, but details like this provide context. Good builds tell a story, and context helps viewers understand why specific colors and symbols appear. It also introduces a simple educational element. A child watching the scene can connect IKEA with Sweden through color and placement alone. I position the flag where it can be noticed without blocking the facade. That balance is important. Decorative symbols should enrich the site, not steal focus from the main architecture. The flag adds identity while keeping the store itself as the central subject. Back inside, I build a tall central pillar from yellow concrete. This pillar has both structural and visual value. In real architecture, a central support can help carry vertical loads from upper floors, and even in Minecraft, that idea remains useful for readability. A large interior feels more believable when there is some visible support rather than endless empty space. I choose yellow for the pillar because it makes the support easy to spot and links it to the accent language of the rest of the store. Around this pillar, I construct a spiral staircase from stone slabs. A spiral staircase is an efficient design because it allows vertical movement while occupying less floor area than a broad, straight staircase. That is important in a showroom where every block of floor space can be used for displays. Stone slabs work well because they create smooth, stepped curves and maintain the same neutral modern material language already established on the floor. The result is compact, functional, and visually interesting. After completing the first staircase, I build the floor of the third level using stone slabs. Then, I form the second level floor with the same material. Using the same slabs on each level creates continuity. In interior design, repeated surfaces help people feel oriented because every floor belongs to the same building language. The upper levels also need to be broad and open, since IKEA-style stores often organize furniture into departments. Flat, generous floor plates make that possible. I pay attention to thickness and alignment, so the floors look intentional rather than floating. A floor that sits neatly against the walls gives the structure a much stronger sense of engineering. Once those levels are in place, I add another spiral staircase to improve circulation. Multiple vertical routes are useful because large stores should not force everyone through one narrow point. Even in Minecraft, good circulation makes a space easier to explore. A customer-friendly layout starts with how people move between floors. With the levels established, I walk through the interior and place any missing concrete blocks that were left open in the walls or edges. This finishing pass is very important. Small gaps can make a well-planned structure look rushed, and they also weaken the visual enclosure of each room. In real construction, continuous walls help with insulation, sound control, and safety. In Minecraft, they help the viewer believe the building could function. I check corners, transitions near the stairwells, and places where the upper floors meet the exterior shell. Closing these tiny imperfections gives the whole project a more polished and professional appearance. It also prepares the interior for furniture placement, because display areas work best when the boundaries are complete and the background is calm. Final corrections often do not attract as much attention as major build steps, but they are what turn a good project into a convincing one. Precision matters, especially in a branded commercial build. It is high time for furniture. I start on the top floor by placing a long row of sofas in many colors across the display area. Arranging them side by side is a smart showroom technique because it lets customers compare shapes and colors very quickly. In retail design, comparison encourages decision-making. A shopper can move along the row and immediately see which color fits their taste. I keep the arrangement straight and evenly spaced so the display feels organized rather than cluttered. Behind or beside that row, I add another row of armchairs in matching rainbow colors. The television section on the upper floor adds another type of product experience. TVs are more technical objects than sofas, so I place them together in a concentrated display where repetition becomes a design tool. Repetition in electronic sections communicates range and availability. When several screens are lined up, the area feels like a dedicated department rather than one random appliance placed near furniture. On the second floor, I begin the bedroom department with a row of canopy beds in different colors. Canopy beds are tall and visually dramatic, so they make excellent focal pieces. In interior display design, taller furniture often works best when arranged along a straight line or a broad axis, because the repeated vertical frames create rhythm without causing confusion. After the canopy beds, I add a row of regular beds in multiple colors. This expands the range of products and makes the department feel more complete. In a real furniture store, offering both premium-looking and simpler bed designs is useful because different customers have different needs, room sizes, and budgets. Displaying those options together but in separate rows improves comparison while preserving clarity. I keep the standard beds lower and visually simpler than the canopy beds, which creates a natural hierarchy across the room. Between the bedroom displays, I place a wardrobe and then add more assorted beds to enrich the layout. The wardrobe is important because vertical storage changes the visual rhythm of the room. If every object on the floor had the same low height, the department could feel flat. Finally, I move to the ground floor and build the reception and checkout area. The ground level is the most public part of the store, so it needs clear service points. I place a reception desk where visitors can orient themselves or ask for help. A reception area is important because very large stores can feel overwhelming without a clear human contact point. Nearby, I install a cash register to represent the checkout function. Service furniture should sit in an accessible location with enough open space in front so people can approach it easily. Behind the counter, I place chests as storage. In Minecraft, chests are a simple way to suggest documents, stock, or packaged items. They also reinforce the practical side of the business. A store is not only a showroom, it is also an organized system for handling goods. This front service zone gives the interior a realistic purpose and anchors the shopping experience in a way that pure display furniture cannot. In the main common room on the ground floor, I arrange wine shelves, wardrobes, kitchen cabinets, tables, and chairs. This area represents the broader home section, where many household items are shown together in a coordinated environment. I place wine shelves and storage units in ways that suggest walls or room edges because larger vertical pieces are useful for defining subspaces inside open floors. Kitchen cabinets belong together, so I keep them as a group display to show function and style. Tables and chairs are placed so they feel like complete dining setups rather than isolated pieces. This is another valuable lesson in showroom design. Furniture often sells better when it is arranged as part of a scene. People understand objects more easily when they can imagine how those objects work together in everyday life. By the end, the ground floor feels active and practical, while the upper floors feel specialized. The whole IKEA now has architecture, circulation, identity, and a full set of believable product zones. Great! My IKEA is ready! It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you've got such a beautiful IKEA. You've done so many interesting things inside, as if it were a real store.
Thank you guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you like the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.